With NFL free agency set to get underway on Monday, the Philadelphia Eagles are linked to Giants running back Saquon Barkley, Giants safety Xavier McKinney. This coming after both players did not get franchise tagged by New York yesterday, and we're talking about that on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Thanks so much for being here. But because the free agency period does start on Monday, we're going to be discussing every single move that Howie Roseman and the Eagles make, so make sure you subscribe as we approach our goal of 73,000 subscribers. Hit that sub button right now, and with that, let's talk some Birds Buzz right now. And today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is made possible thanks to our friends at 8 Sleep. Head to 8sleep.com/chatsports. Get $200 off and free shipping on the pod cover. It's been a really busy start to 2024 for me. I was at the national championship between Michigan and Washington in January, Super Bowl in Las Vegas in February, and then the NFL Scouting Combine last week. I haven't been able to sleep all that much, but last night I slept 10 hours on the new pod cover where you can control how warm or how cold your mattress gets, and I feel as though I was reborn. See for yourself at 8sleep.com/chatsports. We'll tell you more about them coming up here in just a few minutes. So the Philadelphia Eagles here, according to New York Giants insider from the Daily News, Pat Leonard, are listed as a suitor for Saquon Barkley. He is now officially a free agent after the Giants, for the second consecutive season, did not put the franchise tag on Barkley. And this becomes a very interesting conversation here because, as we know, Philadelphia could use a running back. For me, I'm just content with bringing back DeAndre Swift. We'll talk about him in just a moment. But Saquon is a really polarizing player who I think has good football left in him. But what's the price tag going to be? What type of player is he going to be as he continues to age with the injury history? But you look at some of the teams who are interested, according to Leonard, in Saquon Barkley, who was just a stud at Penn State, got off to a terrific start his NFL career before he hurt his knee. There's some quality teams in this grouping here. Baltimore Ravens, I think, would be a really good fit. Las Vegas Raiders, if they don't retain Josh Jacobs, who also did not get the franchise tag. The Chicago Bears, the New England Patriots, and the Houston Texans. The Texans really, for me, are a team to watch. And, of course, those teams listed in addition to the Philadelphia Eagles. But C.J. Stroud was great last year. If they bring in Saquon Barkley behind a pretty solid offensive line with that defense led by DeMeco Ryans and Nico Collins, and then they get another wide receiver for a team that made it to the divisional round of the playoffs and won double-digit games for the first time in NFL history with the rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback, they become even more interesting. Now, as I noted, we were at the Scouting Combine last week, and we talked to Giants general manager Joe Schoen about Saquon Barkley. Here's what he had to say, and I think this information is really valuable for all of you. First of all, you're hearing from a decision maker who's in the general manager post for an organization in the National Football League, but it gives you a peek into what the negotiations could be like inside an NFL front office.
We have, Saquon Barkley, which we're going to talk to his representatives this week. There's nothing new on that front. The conversation, the plan all along was to meet here in Indy and have those discussions about, how we're going to move forward with him. He's a guy we'd like to have back. So those conversations will take this week and will take place this week, and we'll see if we can get something done with him.
So some solid insight there from Joe Schoen, and it was pretty cool being in Indianapolis because oftentimes, NFL general managers, decision makers, head coaches, they're always in a pressure-packed environment of trying to win or lose. Now the slate is clean. All teams are 0-0. There's some optimism going into the draft and free agency, and you kind of sense that from a lot of these GMs. And for Schoen, put the franchise tag on Saquon last year, as I noted. Now they decide not to do that, and I think a part of that decision, not wanting to give him as much money as what the franchise tag would be. As for that report from Pat Leonard of the New York Daily News, here it is right here, that sources view the Baltimore Ravens, Las Vegas Raiders, Chicago Bears, New England Patriots, Houston Texans, and your Philadelphia Eagles as some primary potential suitors who have the resources, number one, need, number two, and then most importantly for the purpose of this conversation, interest, number three, to possibly sign Saquon Barkley. Now, immediately, when I think about this addition to the roster for Philadelphia, if they went this route, the thought of a healthy Saquon Barkley behind this Eagles offensive line, even though Jason Kelce is not going to be a part of it, is tantalizing. You also pair him with Jalen Hurts. You run a little RPO with Kellen Moore. You involve him in the screen game, which I don't think criminally the Giants did enough. He is a weapon in this offense, kind of like how Christian McCaffrey is a weapon for the 49ers. Now, I think McCaffrey is a better player than Saquon, doesn't have the serious injury history that Saquon has, but Saquon's a dog. But what also makes me wary about this is that Saquon is 27 years old. He has the injury history, but there's also a lot of mileage on the tires for how much he's been used, not just at the NFL level, but at the college level as well. When he was playing in Happy Valley at Penn State, when he became just a bona fide superstar while playing for the Nittany Lions. And he's 27 years old as well. Another thought, and this is really probably the most pertinent thought for Howie Roseman in this front office, what is the asking price? And what will it be in a very solid running back class? Because as we know, the market for running backs has been on the downhill, and there isn't as much of a market for running backs compared to what it was when I was growing up, when running backs were getting a lot of money and they were valued a little bit more. Pass-happy era in the National Football League, but also you can find quality running backs who give you very good production in the draft as well as in free agency for very, very cheap. And then you toss it back to the free agent market here. This is one of the best free agent markets for running backs and one of the better free agency classes that you'll kind of remember in recent time here. You have Saquon Barkley, who's been accomplished, Derrick Henry, who's a future Hall of Famer, Josh Jacobs led the NFL in rushing yards in 2022, Austin Eckler's been getting it done as a dual threat back for a really long time, and then you have DeAndre Swift, who is younger, who's coming off a career season for the Philadelphia Eagles. And my views on the running back position solely here, I think DeAndre Swift is going to be cheaper. Can he give you similar production as Saquon Barkley? I think so, if not better production. This draft class is a little bit light, but you can find a pretty quality running back day 2, day 3, who in this offensive system for Philly and behind this offensive line can be productive. And again, you're just not paying them, let's call it about $10 million for a player like Saquon. And you look at what he did in 14 games played for New York last year. Keep in mind that offensive line was just hot garbage. 247 carries, 962 yards. The dual threat element, though, intrigues me a lot. I think he can line up out of the slot more than he did with New York and then catch balls on those swing routes as well as those screen passes. 41 catches last year for 280 yards, 10 total touchdowns. But DeAndre Swift a year ago was the better player, and he doesn't have the usage concerns, and he's a little bit younger as compared to Barkley. 229 carries. He only ran more than 20 times 2 games last year. So I think the numbers could have been even larger. And he had the 214 receiving yards. I think he could have been utilized as more of a pass-catching threat as well, and then the 6 total touchdowns. For me, look, this is what it boils down to. I'd rather just have DeAndre Swift, who's going to be cheaper. He's 25 years old, less tread, less injuries. And then on top of that, I know this running back class is a little bit lighter, but a player who I would absolutely love is a player with character, a player who is a captain, a player who is a leader, who's tough, who's physical, who can be a pass-catching threat, who maybe isn't a 3-down back, but is shorter, shifty, good vision, good balance. That's Blake Corum, and a guy who I think after hearing this clip, if you don't already know, Eagles fans would absolutely love him.
You know, when a team asks that, you know, I have to give them a name, but I also tell them each and every game, you know, I gave it my all. You know, so you turn on the tape, you know, you're going to see some good things. So I definitely tell them, the big games, Alabama, Penn State games, Washington games that really meant a lot. But I tell them, you turn on the tape any game, best believe I'm giving it, my effort. And I'm just bringing that mentality that, each and every rep I'm going to take advantage of it. And so, that's what I'm telling the teams.
So hopefully an insightful and productive conversation when it comes back to the running back position here on today's Eagles Now. We're going to talk safeties coming up here in just a moment, but first, pick a running back for 2024 for Philadelphia. Who would you rather have, DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley? I'm going with the current Eagle in DeAndre Swift, Philadelphia's own. Now, as I mentioned off the top, today's Eagles Now is sponsored by 8 Sleep. 8 Sleep is a game changer. The pod cover, which you can get $200 off of and free shipping if you go to 8sleep.com/chatsports, is going to improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. This cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet. It's basically like a mattress pad, and it allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed from the power of your own smartphone. And it can go as low as 55 degrees or as high or as warm as 110 degrees. I start every day with the cold plunge. I end every night by hitting the sauna, getting up to like 150 degrees to get that sweat, get me relaxed for bed. And this is another way that you can kind of do that, but it's for your sleep. And when you wake up with a more restful sleep, you're going to be ready to attack the day. I'm not kidding you. I woke up today after 10 hours of sleep. I was asleep by about 9:30 last night. I felt like a newborn baby. I was like, goo goo gaga. I was ready to take on the world, man. And with the pod cover, that's how you're going to feel every single day. Can you imagine that? So sleep to power a whole new you is really the motto for 8 Sleep here. And there's no better way to improve your day-to-day sleep. And it's the easiest way to do that with the 8 Sleep Pod 3. Start the new year right, invest in the rest that you deserve. In addition to keeping you at the perfect temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and your health metrics. And on average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. I do not regret making this investment. In fact, I'm glad I made this investment. And you want to invest in the rest that you deserve, but also invest in your health because I'm all about longevity. $200 off, 8sleep.com/chatsports. As you can see, you set it up right next to your bed. You control everything right from your phone. So take that phone out right now or use your web browser, 8sleep.com/chatsports. We'll put that link down below in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. We care about you. We want you to get some good rest. Also, the technology on this bad boy, it's wildly efficient and insane. All right, now to Xavier McKinney. Could he be a safety target in NFL free agency for the Eagles? I think the Eagles are going to make a big splash. And from some of the things that I gathered in Indianapolis last week, there were a lot of things league-wide, but pertaining to Philadelphia, it's that Howie Roseman could make a big move. Well, I hear that, and then he cuts Kevin Byard to free up $13.7 million. And now you only have Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown coming off a torn ACL as the safeties on this roster. I think the Eagles understand going into this offseason, they need to fortify linebacker. They need to do the same with the safety position. And Xavier McKinney is going to be one of the most sought-after safeties in this free agency class. 2020 second-round pick, 36 overall, out of Alabama. So he learned under legendary head coach and defensive mind Nick Saban. Good size at the safety spot, 6 foot, 201 pounds. He's played free safety and strong safety. So Vic Fangio is going to be able to use him in a variety of ways. My concern, it's the games played. Rookie year 6, year 2 17, year 3 9, and then year 4 17. But this past year, he played 100% of the snaps. Also a team captain and a guy who displayed those leadership skills and was a model for consistency at Alabama, and with the New York Giants, been able to turn heads in that front office as well as the roster. His numbers, very, very good this past season. 116 tackles, 11 pass breakups. I need safeties who can make a beat on the football. 3 interceptions and then 1 forced fumble. And then his coverage stats gave up a completion percentage of 62.3. That's below league average. Gave up 0 touchdowns in coverage this past year. for that New York defense, which had some lapses under Wink Martindale. The pass breakups to interception ratio, that's really good, and only gave up a quarterback rating of 53. And yes, the lack of games played, a little bit of an issue here because I do worry about the injury history. You worry about that anytime you make a big-time investment in a player. But when he's been on the field, he's played really well. And as a rookie, it was unfortunate for New York because they were really impressed with what he was able to do and how he was able to grasp a complex defensive scheme right from the jump. Year 2 plays a lot, 93 tackles, 1 TFL, 11 PBUs, and 5 picks. 2022, games cut in half to 9, but the production in those 9 games very good with the 45 tackles, 2 TFLs, and 5 pass breakups, and then 100% of the snaps. He has a career year. It comes at a really good time for him as he's trying to secure the bag. Now, when you look at this free agency class at the safety spot, Xavier McKinney is going to be more expensive than C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He is younger at 24 years old. He's more of a traditional safety than C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who throughout his career prior to going to Philadelphia in 2022 was more of a slot nickel corner. And I don't think there's any question that McKinney has more just overall upside at that safety spot. Now, do you want to go cheaper with C.D. Deuce with the player who might not break the bank like McKinney, who's been a little bit more durable than McKinney, and you had the level of familiarity with him? I wouldn't be opposed to that. Now, let's go back to General Manager Joe Schoen, because the way that he talks about the player goes to show you how much New York valued him.
And then Xavier McKinney, the same boat. You know, his agent, David Maggetto, will get in here on Friday. We have a meeting planned with him. I've had really good talks with Xavier over the last couple of weeks, but talks have not begun with that. I know there was something out there that maybe they'd begin conversations with a contract extension, but we haven't had any talks other than we're going to get to the combine, think about where you guys see the value. We're going to have our comps, and then we can start from there. But, Xavier is another player that, we'd like to have back. He's 24 years old. He was a captain, played 100% of the snaps, and, we think a lot of X, and, look forward to getting in the negotiation period here later this week.
And I'm telling you right now, this goes without saying, we all know that, there will never be another Weapon X for the Eagles. That's why Brian Dawkins has been the background on my phone for the last several years. My favorite Eagle of all time. He honestly might be my favorite Philadelphia athlete of all time with Allen Iverson, number 2, Chase Utley, number 3. Jason Kelce has to be up there. But from Weapon X to the man that they call X, Xavier McKinney, really, really good player. I think Howie Roseman, once again, I'm going to die on this hill. He makes some splashes in free agency on the defensive side of the ball. So pick a safety here before we hop on out of here. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Xavier McKinney. Let me know. A programming reminder, myself, producer Smitty, we're going live this afternoon on this beautiful Wednesday, and I hope to see all my beautiful people. 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. We'll catch you then. Go Birds.